Shalom, shalom, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Israel here in our eternal and ancestral homeland, the land of Israel, in our beautiful biblical Judean hills, where the story of the Jewish people was written, and we're writing the modern chapters today. I am sitting with one of my favorite journalists, investigative journalist Edwin Black. Shalom, shalom, Edwin.
Shalom, shalom. How are you?
I am good, and I am absolutely blown away because just yesterday you touched base with me and dropped a mind-blowing fact that you are launching this week a new book called Israel Strikes Iran. Now, Israel only struck Iran 2 weeks ago, and yet your book went to print. It's going for sales within the next few days this week. What is going on, Edwin?
Well, by the time this video releases on Thursday, the book will, of course, be available worldwide at all leading booksellers in hardback, paperback, audiobook, and e-book. I've been working on this topic, as you probably know, Avi, for decades. I was the first one to use the term second Holocaust, that Iran is trying to create a second Holocaust. I was the first one to reveal the existence of the S 300 radar sites in Iran. The first one, if you can believe this, to reveal the existence of the massive ordnance penetrator well over 10 years ago. And I was the first one in the Times of Israel to reveal the actual size and shape and design of the Iranian nuclear warhead and explain how they actually got to the nuclear threshold. So I've been ready for this event for many years, and I actually wrote most of the book 2 years ago, waiting for the final chapters. And when the dust cleared after the end of the 12-day war, I got to writing day and night, filling in the details from 2025, filling in the backstory that I could now release, including confidential, secret, classified information. And it's been rushed into print worldwide, everywhere.
I can't get my hands on the physical book to read it. You sent me a copy in digital format and I started it. It's just I'm just in awe that you again, this was a book you wrote for 20 years and then you finished it like 2 years ago and it's been waiting for this final chapter. Uh, Based on your knowledge that I guess you detail in your investigative report throughout the book, are you shocked that Israel finally struck Iran now, meaning not sooner or not later, but now?
I knew that Israel would strike Iran, that it had to strike Iran. I knew that it was constrained because of the Biden administration, which was being engined by extreme anti-Israel elements. While Joe was sleeping, the anti-Israel and anti-Semitic elements were working to virtually blackmail Israel. But I knew that Israel had formed a third circle directorate, which was a group within the IDF tasked with the mission of neutralizing Iran's complete, diversified, and decentralized nuclear infrastructure. The question is, when would it happen? And the answer is, it was always going to happen at the last minute. There were many opportunities to go before. Those were not taken. Some of them were thwarted internally. Many of them were thwarted by the United States. At one point, Obama refused to issue the friend or foe codes to Israel, and I knew this would happen. And
Can you
then,
provide the information? What are friend or foe codes for people who are not familiar?
well, when an airplane goes over a U.S. facility, it has to send out a transponder information to indicate that it's a friend or a foe. And if it doesn't have those, it's going to be shot down. And yes, Obama threatened to shoot down the Israeli planes. But once Donald Trump was elected in November, I knew that, and I could read between the lines, that Bibi and Trump got together and solidified their plan. And I observed the intense resupply of munitions. I ignored a lot of the fake chatter that was going on about Bibi and Trump were really not getting along, and he was constraining. And I knew instantly that when Trump said, "I'll give them up to 2 weeks," that could either be 14 days or 14 hours. And so I knew that when Trump said 60 days, on day 61, Israel would approach. They had many weapon systems to think about, but ultimately they chose the ones that they did use. They have other surprises in store, one of which I allude to, but they have been preparing for this for years. They've been testing the weaponry, they've been testing the routes. Of course, in order to make this happen, Israel, as I explained in the book, had to take down the proxies. They had to take down Hezbollah. They had to take down Syria. And as a result of that, the skies were open. They, of course, took down the S-300s, and Israel had air dominance. They had the bunker busters. And, of course, the book describes the intense pre-kinetic activities of the Mossad. These are the unsung heroes of this war. And as I say, some of the warriors flew in airplanes with long contrails, and some were Mossadniks acting silently with little details. Mossad weaponized Iranian life against the mullahs. And the book thoroughly describes all of these extremely synchronized activities in the first moments of the war to take out the generals, take out the scientific establishment, take out the radar sites. It's an extraordinary story. It has rewritten the rules of geopolitical conflict and action. And it's true, this is the first story. This is the first book to tell the story, but I'm afraid I'll need to update this on a regular basis. And I can tell you right now, the Rising Lion is not sleeping tonight.
All right, we'll get to that in a moment. And you highlight this and what you're saying right now, and I try to give this across in my Pulse of Israel programming. But the fact that we in Israel and all over the world are back to some sort of like normal life, that this 12-day direct conflict with Iran in taking out a huge chunk of its nuclear program and its ballistic missile program, it's like totally miraculous, and it doesn't get the attention people should be giving towards it, because the implications of our lives had Israel not done this could have been catastrophic. And I want to take advantage for a second to go back with you, because I'm looking forward to reading the book and seeing all the details. But during the years of the Obama administration, 8 years of Obama, then 4 years of Biden, I know and I've read and I've spoken about how that foreign policy mindset was about establishing Iran to be the regional power as a contra to Israel and weaken Israel. So, how much do you go into the book, or how much information have you seen over the years to show that it was the Obama Biden foreign policy administration establishment that was so active in actually the development of Iran as a nuclear power to be the contra to Israel in the region?
Well, you're absolutely correct. And I did go into great detail about this. And I explained that the JCPOA, this Iran nuclear deal, was actually designed not to stop the Iranian bomb, but actually to guarantee it, because it made it clear that Iran could have a nuclear bomb after 15 years, which they would cheat on by about 5 years, and 5 years is 2025. In addition, it brought so many billions of dollars into Iran's coffers and resuscitated the regime from the sanctions. I go into this into great detail, that it allowed Iran to pour millions and millions of dollars not only into the nuclear research, but the establishment and the arming of its proxies in Lebanon, in Hamas, in the Houthis, in Syria and Iraq, and they had a complete so-called access of resistance. And this was not an accidental undertaking or unforeseen. Former Secretary of State John Kerry actually admitted in the media that he knew that these billions of dollars would fund terrorist actions. So this was a known activity. And I also mentioned the fact that Obama was so silent about October 7th, and was one of the first to rush out and say, well, there's two sides to this story and all that, that it caused Alan Dershowitz, his lifelong friend, to declare that Obama was an enemy of the Jewish people, which is absolutely correct. And even Michelle, who was so vigorous in returning our girls, was silent on any help for the hostages.
Yeah. The absolute hypocrisy. So I want to ask a what if question for a second that again, I'm going off of what you, I imagine, wrote and detailed and described in the book. Israel and Netanyahu always said that had to do this. And as you said, you knew it would be a last second thing when it was impossible for Israel to allow Iran to develop the nuclear bomb. The day would
Because
come.
they were only 2 weeks away from finalizing, and the only thing that was stopping them is they were trying to attach the warhead not to a Shahab 3 missile as they had originally planned, to take this R-265 shock generator with the 5 millimeter grooves, which would implode simultaneously with the energy being absorbed by an exploding bridge wire fuse, which would then trigger the neutron initiator that would blow up that would cause the mushroom cloud, the chain reaction and the mushroom cloud. They're going to put that on a new missile that they were developing at two different sites to go exospheric and come down not on a ballistic trajectory as much as straight down. And they thought that basically they're going to explode 5 nuclear bombs, and that this would not only destroy Israel, this would usher in the apocalyptic paradise of the Shia Twelvers, and the 12th Imam would return. So paradise would be on earth by destroying the Jews and Israel. And ultimately, if any of that occurred, then the entire world would be up in flame, because there would be a second strike capability that Israel has. And of course, this would bring Pakistan in a nuclear arms race, and humanity turned the corner during the 12-day war. And of course, it was Donald Trump who finished it, and was urged with those signs on the highway in Tel Aviv, Mr. President, finish the job.
Yeah, and again, you're just highlighting how one how horrible the Obama, Biden slash Harris administrations were in actually being involved in that plan. The apocalypse you were just talking about, they were in on it. They were supporting it. They were funding it for it to happen. And how miraculous it is that it was President Trump who won the election, who totally turned the script, which leads me to my what if question. What would we be looking at right now had Harris won that election?
You wouldn't be looking at anything.
You're saying Israel would not have done anything to take it out because we would have been stopped totally by a Harris
I
administration.
think they would have gone regardless. I think that there would have to be a last minute decision that they had to go because they always knew either with or without the United States, they would have to go. The question would come down to a ticking clock because remember, immediately after October 7th, Blinken and the Biden administration decided that the best way to go was to give the Palestinians a state of their own, reward them with sovereignty. And you're so correct that Obama specifically wanted to create this counterweight to Israel, meaning a nuclear Iran. It was guaranteed that they would have a nuclear bomb in 15 years and probably more. I don't think they actually mentalized on the apocalyptic part. They probably just didn't associate with that. They probably thought that that would never come to pass, but it was coming to pass. And either Israel was going to launch a devastating, it couldn't be partial, a devastating destruction of the Iranian nuclear program, or Israel itself and all humanity would be destroyed.
So now let's go to today. Uh, you have President Trump. We have some people of the U.S. administration, some people in Israel, who've said that the strikes on the Israeli and the U.S. strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities have destroyed their nuclear program. You have others who've said leaks, intelligence leaks have come out saying, no, it really just harmed it, but within months or even 2 years, they'll be back as a nuclear power. Based on your information, where do you think things stand right now with what was accomplished in that 12-day strike and hitting their nuclear program?
Well, first of all, you can ignore that initial leaked intelligence that had low confidence. As journalists, you and I would never run with a intelligence a bomb damage assessment with low intelligence, excuse me, low confidence um, that was done. You would wait for something more settled. I can tell you right now, both things are true, and my book Israel Strikes Iran makes it clear that both things are true. First, the three main centers, the pivotal centers at Natanz, Fordal, and Isfahan were obliterated. That is true. However, if it's a fanatical regime, a regime that was willing to trade world sanction and the undermining of its own national interest and willing to go into a nuclear war, if they're that committed over 40 years, they can unobliterate it. They can start again. They're already planning to start again. And it doesn't have to be at an underground facility. It could actually be in a barn. It could be in a barracks. Remember, the fact that they put these cascades of centrifuges and all these facilities underground was one approach. They can put them above ground. They've terminated their relationship with the International Energy Association Agency and the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency. And I believe that nothing short of regime change will do the trick. It's not the people of Iran, and you know that, and your listeners know that. It's the mullahs and the ayatollahs of Iran who wish to vaporize the Jews of Israel as a gateway to their version of paradise on earth. And so, yes, it had to be done. Now, what's down there now? What's down there now is irretrievable. I suppose you could get down there in about 5 years. digging, that's never going to be done. They'd have to start in a brand new site. They do have 60 per 400 kilograms of 60%. That 60% is potent, but they don't have the cascades to enrich that to the 90% that they need. They don't have the centrifuge manufacturing facilities because those were made. And the scientists have all been taken out. Not all. There are some left, but it's very short term employment if you're a nuclear scientist in Iran. And Israel has made it clear, and Trump has made it clear that they're willing to bomb again. Because remember, Trump's original demand was complete, total dismantlement, no enrichment. So if they want to get some 3.9% imported from some external source like Russia or Baku or France, that would be permissible. But they won't be allowed to further enrich. And sure, they will try, but we can monitor. And remember, the IAEA had discovered molecules 83.9% enrichment. And it's easy to detect these molecules because these molecules give off specific signatures. So I believe it was obliterated, but there can be an attempt another 40 months, 40 years. There can be another effort to resurrect it. Will there be such an effort? And that is where the current negotiations lead. And I fear that I will have to write an appendix to my book in the very near future, and I'm ready to do so.
So I'm gonna take you up and maybe give you some of the mental gymnastics to prepare for that appendix because we're having this talk as Prime Minister Netanyahu just landed in Washington, D.C., and is preparing for a meeting this evening with President Trump. And I believe while the headlines are going to focus on Gaza, I don't believe they're going to be talking much about Gaza. I believe they're going to be talking about Iran. And I want to hear what you think because, on the one hand, there is a ceasefire, right? On the other hand, the Islamic Republic of Iran just announced that they plan to continue to enrich uranium. They plan to not work with the IAEA anymore and forbid them from entering Iran. They announced they will not continue talks with America. They issued an official fatwa, religious ruling for President Trump to be killed. And again, we know that that 12-day direct war with Iran was stopped before we really totally finished the job, which, as you mentioned and I've been mentioning, it will the future both for Iran, the region, and the world will only be better if there is regime change in Iran. So, do you think, based on all of that, that possibly we'll be seeing something in Iran sooner than many are talking about?
Yes, I believe that's the case. I believe that it's folly to predict now. But what you've said about Iran, that their parliament outlawed the IAEA, that was ratified by the Supreme Council. But now they're giving some wiggle room, and they're saying, well, but it'll be up to the Ayatollahs to decide what the IAEA is doing. But the fact of the matter is, everything has been dismantled, crushed by the detonations, and the inspectors have now fled Iran, and they're not going to be back in. And Iran thinks it's going to undertake another years of delay and charade in the form of negotiation. It won't work with Trump. And so I believe that everything we're going to see on what's going to happen with Iran, whether there's going to be a popular uprising to dethrone the mullahs, or whether we're going to have to bomb them out of their next step, all of that will be seen in the remainder of the Trump term, of the remainder of Trump 2.0.
Yeah, we're definitely I definitely see that as well, and I won't be surprised if things happen much quicker than too many people realize.
Let me tell you how quick. It
Yeah.
could happen before you air this before you air this episode. The one thing I've learned over the years is that you can't predict exactly when it's going to occur. That's why I was very fortunate that I was able to advance, write the book, and get the team and get the publishing channels and the publisher to make Israel Strikes Iran available immediately so people could see this stunning backstory. It's not the war diary. The war diary is out there everywhere, but the backstory, which shows just what you've been alluding to, how deliberate this was and how advanced they were. I've even given the code names for the various programs to create the warhead. I described the warhead. I described how the warhead. I even know the name of the Ukrainian scientist who designed the crucial process. All of that is in this book, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to bring out a second edition sooner than I wish.
This is gonna go like hotcakes. This is gonna be another Edwin Black bestseller. Everyone, as soon click on the link below in order to pre-order. But I want to hear your input, Edwin, because you referenced this, the unbelievable cloak and dagger misinformation, disinformation of the Trump administration and the Netanyahu administration that kept everyone totally off kilter, not knowing that the attack was going to be so imminent. What do you have to say about that? I'm
I
sure you were
never
watching
believed
that
it.
like,
I never believed it. I was part of numerous chat groups. You were part of numerous chat groups. Every time somebody said something or didn't say something, there was all this distress. I always measured not what was said, but what was being done. And by measuring what was being done, including the advanced armaments, including the evacuation of our forces from our embassies, including the pre-positioning of the B-2 bombers in Diego Garcia, including all of these factors, and even the fake flight west, which I discussed because I have their transponder. Why would you have a fake flight west with transponder signals? It was this. It was the art of the deal meets the art of war. Result Operation Rising Lion.
I love that tagline. I'm going to use it. That might even be the title of this video. Mic drop. Any other interesting out there pieces of information you can give us in this talk now in the book to
I'm
get
not
people
doing it now. I want everybody to go to Amazon and buy it as soon as they
to
see your video.
All right, everyone. I tried, but go click on the link below. Order your copy today. I cannot wait to get my hands on mine. And again, I just want people to understand. I don't know how many are familiar with your former writings, your previous books. You have been a stalwart of really a humanity in highlighting the powers within the Western world that have assisted and empowered the genocidal powers out there, whether it's the Holocaust that the Nazis did and Western powers and IBM allowed it to happen. And here today, you've been in this book, you're documenting everything about also including how the Western world empowered Iran to be able to become a nuclear power to prepare for a second Holocaust. I mean, I don't have a hat on, but if I did, I just want to take my hat off to you, Edwin, for really being on the front line in highlighting all this for the benefit of humanity.
Well, fighting evil is full-time employment.
There you go, everyone. Investigative journalist Edwin Black. Click on the link below. Order your copy. There's pre-sales right now, even if this
No,
goes up
you
before
no,
Thursday?
you won't be able to get it before Thursday. Uh,
So Thursday.
the best way is to go to israelstrikesiran.com. Israel, excuse me, israelstrikes.com. Israelstrikes the internet would actually not let us use Iran in the name of the website. So it's israelstrikes.com. You'll see the Amazon button there. We've gotten great advanced reviews. And Thursday, when this comes out at dawn, you'll find that the book is available in 190 countries, Amazon around the planet, Google, iTunes, Kobo, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, all of it.
Edwin, amazing work. Thank you so much. Looking forward to reading this book, looking forward to your future books, and looking forward to seeing you again in our ancestral biblical homeland, Israel. Thank you so much, Edwin.
All right. Thank you.
Shalom, shalom, everyone. Thanks for watching another episode of the Pulse of Israel. If you are not yet a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe. And yes, we are a donor-based operation. Thanks to you and your support, we're able to do our work every once in a while. Just go to pulseofisrael.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.